There's a Petless Witch Doctor. I think this is Hell difficulty, like late. Essentially, Witch Doctor uses a series of high defense attributes as well as Grasp of the Dead and Spirit Walk. These are really defensive abilities to be able to make a build that just doesn't need to use pets. This is kind of an unusual build for a Witch Doctor, but it's completely viable. So here's my favorite, Melee Wizard. I like to hit things. It's a personal flaw or strength, depending on your view on hitting things. The wizard basically can do this by using a lot of kind of up-close AoE abilities, some really strong defensive abilities like Diamond Skin, to essentially make a character that can be up close and personal. And that's, again, not a common build for a wizard, but a viable one. So why? Why viable over optimal? Why are we even talking about this? So Diablo has tons and tons of customization. We did the math on the new skill systems with the combination of passives and runes, and we threw a crazy number out a few years back of like 69 billion. We're really more in the area of 2.8 trillion? Yeah, trillion builds. So that's a lot of builds. And why? Why so many builds? Because customization is self-expression. And if you have to build a character to be perfectly optimized, that's not really going to allow you to customize that character. So our job is to make sure that, while there might be some best builds, there's tons and tons of viable ones. It's totally okay for there to be best builds. It's totally okay for someone to go, you know what, I made this barbarian and he's got like 0.5% more damage than any other build you can possibly make. And you know what, there's nothing wrong with that. Unless that number becomes, oh, this barbarian's like 50% more powerful. So if we can get enough builds into that range of these are all viable, they can play at the max level, it means you can play the character you want to play at max level and not be beholden to anyone. So what we say is go out, have fun, be free, and make the Diablo character you want to make. All right, so we're almost done here. A little bit of beta feedback. We really wanted to show how your feedback has directly impacted the development of Diablo 3. So there's way too many examples to kind of come up with of the ways that the feedback we've gotten from all of you has made the game better. So we just kind of picked some top 3. So the first one's a skill system. This is becoming more and more common. Watching people play basically while their skill system UI is sitting open. And why? Because we let them swap out whenever they want. And we thought that was cool because we wanted people to experiment with their builds, but what we didn't want was for people to literally actively in combat be switching skills in and out. Like, it's just not a fun experience. We allow that in combat. It's not fun. And the other thing we don't like about it is it makes you feel less committed to your build. You don't feel like you have a character build. You just feel like you have this UI for skill swapping that you're constantly using. So our solution is we're focusing on trying to do an in-town swap. So we're going to have an item that you're going to go to in town that is required so you can swap. And you can go to that and swap whenever you want, but once you leave town, you're restricted and your build is locked. So we've got this implemented internally right now. It's probably going to go out in the next patch of the beta. We're not sure about it. It's better in some ways. In some ways, it kind of sucks to lose the freedom of being able to swap anywhere. But we feel like if we keep iterating on it, it can probably work. But if it doesn't, our alternate solution is going to be to focus on something more like an in-out of combat kind of system. It's funny, this idea of being in and out of combat is very much a World of Warcraft idea that doesn't translate really easily to Diablo because our combat pace is much faster. But it's still something we probably could fall back on if the in-town thing doesn't work. So followers. Followers are an awesome feature that we announced a little while ago. Characters that can follow you throughout the world and help you, and you can customize. One of the things we decided was that they weren't really going to be viable past normal difficulty. And we did that because we really saw them as more of a single-player feature, more of a story feature. The thing is, we got a lot of feedback that many of you didn't like this. Matter of fact, a whole lot of you didn't like it. So we changed our minds. So followers are now going to be in-game viable, so you'll be able to use them to customize your build and bring them with you out in the world. So this is a fun one. We posted our items up on the Blizzard website a while ago, and a lot of that stuff is really temp, so take it with a grain of salt. Like, we're really still very much in itemization's one of the kind of last things you get kind of hardcore on. So a lot of that stuff is temp, but you know, this is one of them, the Ring of the Zodiac. We posted up this data, and that's what was up there, and everyone's like, WTF, that's not a Ring of the Zodiac. We played Diablo 2, we know what a Ring of the Zodiac is, and that ain't it. So, fixed. So, thank you. We'll try and keep on anything we bring back. We'll be a little better about that. All right. So we don't have a lot of time for questions. I want to let you all know that tomorrow at 10 a.m. on the panels discussion stage, we have a lore panel. They're going to be showing some new environments and talking about a lot of new story stuff and some factions. So if you have a chance to go to it, I definitely recommend it. Also, at 11:30, we're going to be back on the main stage for a full hour of Q&A. So if you don't get your question asked today, please come back tomorrow at 11:30. Thank you.
I don't know. Where are you going? Come back here. There you go. I think we only have time for one, is what the thing in my ear is telling me. So this gentleman stepped up.
So Chad's the villain. He's the reason we can only have one question.
No. My name is Jay. Here we go.
Are the amount of free postings for cash items on the auction house going to be limited by a day-to-day basis, weekly or monthly?
It's going to be weekly. We don't know exactly how many we're going to do, but it should be enough to be able to do a good amount every week, and then it'll refresh on a day that someone who is not me will choose.
Thank you. All right, guys, I'm sorry. That's it. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you for attending the Diablo 3 Gameplay and Auction House panel. Up next, contests beginning at 6 o'clock.